Hi, I'm Katarina Waters, and today we're going to be making these reusable makeup pads. I am a mom of two and a full-time teacher, so I like to make things as quick and easy and as low waste sustainable as possible. And if you've seen my channel or seen some of my other videos, I'm on a zero waste journey, and I am happy that you joined us. So this is not necessarily a sewing tutorial or sewing video, but I will show you how to do it. And if you do have some sewing background, great. This is for some makeup pads, but the same kind of pattern, if you will, could be used for, I use the same thing for my reusable paper towels. So this is what I use in my kitchen as well on like a larger scale. So these are what I'm going to gift for Christmas, but I have them in my own. So if you have watched my other videos, you'll have seen them in my bathroom tour. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, not a sewing video. So if you have sewing experience, great. But if you're a super beginner and have a sewing machine, this is great for you to just jump in. You don't even need to go out to the store and buy anything. If you have thread on hand and fabric, you'll be good to go. So let's start with what you need. You need some kind of thread. I'm going to be using white thread. You just need any type of thread. So mine's white. It's already on the machine. It's already threaded through the machine. I'm not going to go over how to do that. The fabric I'm going to be using today is this is a terry cloth fabric. This is just from an old towel. So if you go to the fabric store, you can ask for terry cloth. You can, but again, to make it zero waste, use what you already have. Use what's already out there. So maybe go to the Goodwill and just pick up something that's just a towel that's already being used. So there you go. Then I'm using an old t-shirt. This is the old t-shirt fabric. This is one I've already had. And I did go to the fabric store and pick up some fabric for a different thing. I'm using fabric to make, oh, here we go. To wrap my presents with. I'll show that in another video. But I also picked up some fabric from the scraps. So this is great because this is just fabric that's not being utilized. They'll just throw it out if it's not getting sold. So there you go. This can be whatever shape you want it to be. For me, rectangles make sense, but you can, and it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be great. If you're using it, if you're gifting it, you know, you can make it prettier if you want. But mine's about 4 by 3.5. Okay, but again, I don't have it exact. Okay, and that's okay for me. That's fine. So to start off, we are going to put our fabric pieces face to face. So the pretty side or the decorative side, whatever side you want it face inwards. Okay, so face up is the other side, the side you want to be inside of your stuff because you're going to turn it inside out. Okay. You're also going to need later is some kind of like a pencil or something, and you'll need scissors. Okay. So when you're ready, we're going to use our sewing machine. I don't know, you could probably hand stitch these somehow, but I'm not going to go through that because I didn't hand stitch them. This is faster. So I'm going to go over what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to leave a little opening, a little gap, so we can pull our stuff through. This is apparently a teeny tiny gap. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have trouble getting that one through. Oh no, that's going to be really challenging. Make it bigger than this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sew I usually start around the corner, so it's a little bit easier to hide, but we're going to sew up. Darn cats never bug you until you're making a video. Corner, pivot, and just go all the way around until you get to the end. This end is going to be where your back stitch is. I'm not going to go over how to do the back stitch. This doesn't have to be like super pretty because this is going to be on the inside. It's just holding our pieces together. So we'll go through that. How dare my cat let that door be closed? Jeez. like I said, not a sewing video, so I'm not going through too much of this part. But my foot's down, starting with my back stitch. So now that I've gotten to a corner, I'm leaving my needle in. Oh, you can't really see. Leaving my needle in, lifting up my foot, and then just pivoting, putting my foot down. Okay? And then sewing some more. Again, foot in, or foot up, leaving my needle in, foot down, pivot and move on. So I don't need that, so I'm gonna sew that aside. At the end, what it's gonna look like is this. It's gonna have these rough edges where you've kind of sewn the lines onto it. And again, you'll have that gap or opening. Where is this gap or opening? For me, it's this teeny thing right here. Okay. So before we turn it inside out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our scissors and we're just gonna cut along the edges here so it's just a little bit closer to the seam. Again, not wanting to actually cut on the stitch because we don't want to break it, but we want to just get all the edges off just so that it's not bunched up on the center here. So just like that. So by the end, we should have it a lot more closer to that seam. That's not seam, stitch. And then once you, for the opening, you're gonna kind of come up a little bit because when you turn it inside out, you need kind of this room where you're gonna tuck it in. And you'll see that here in a second. So this is where you grab kind of like your pencil or whatever you're using. It's because what you're gonna do is now you're gonna turn it inside out. So when you're turning it inside out, what I like to do is kind of open it up like this and kind of like a duvet cover, if you will. You're going to grab from the other side and kind of push it through. This is the one where I have a teeny gap, so it's not going to happen. I have to fix this. So I would kind of open it and go from the other side. As you're doing this, you'll notice it's going to be more helpful to just go from start to finish, find the things that you know that you're going to have to make changes on, and then try it again. And then you can kind of work a system. When I'm doing these, so you're taking this and just kind of pushing it through to help yourself kind of get out to the other end. Once it is out, then you can take your pencil, put it through the hole, and push it into the corners to kind of round out your corners and kind of push it through. You can also grab an iron and flatten it out as well when you're done. I'm not going to because I don't really mind. So that's ultimately what it looks like so far. And again, you have this like hole here. So what you're gonna do is, this is where it has some extra material. So what you need to do is kind of tuck it in, fold it, if you will. And then you're gonna kind of flatten it here. So when you start your stitch on the top, you're gonna flatten it here at the top. Okay. So I'm gonna do that now. Oopsie. To be continued. All right, so again, I'm tucking it in and I'm gonna start my, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. Sorry, sewing people out there in the world, but I'm gonna start right there on top. And what I'm gonna do is same thing, I'm gonna pivot, but I'm gonna do on top of it. And again, at the end, what's going to end up happening is I'll have this stitch that goes all the way around the outside, and that will kind of keep it from a little bit closer together. If you do want, you could also kind of go across. You could make a pattern. You could do whatever you want. You could get fancy with it. I don't know. But I'm just going to do it simple and just put it around the edges. And that's going to be fine for me. Other materials that you can use, by the way, for these is flannel. Flannel is a great material to use with it. It's very soft. You could definitely use potentially darker colors. That's why I picked the purple for those of you that, potentially would use a lot of makeup. I don't always use a lot of makeup, so I don't mind having a whiter stuff. But just be aware that the whiter it is, the harder, and the more darker makeup you have, the harder it is to clean. So my foot's going down, and again, I'm right over on top of where that hole is. And I'm starting with my back stitch, as always, to start off. And once I get to that corner, I'm going to lift up and pivot. And then I'm going to do that all the way around. Being careful about not getting stuck. There we go. Come on, foot. My foot's a little too low from my other stuff I was doing, but I can fix that later. Anyway, well, you get the idea. So I'm going to go all the way around the corner, again, ending with a back stitch. And so then once I'm done, I can pull it out, cut off the thread, and I'll end with this. I have 7 of them. I just do regular wash. I don't put them in a linen bag, but you could put them in a linen bag, and they kind of have shriveled up over time, so that's why I made these a little bit bigger. The ones I made originally for my bathroom were about this small, and for me they're a little too small, but so that's why I made these ones larger for my gift people, receivers. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I would love to see it in the comments or just hear about if you have made any, what yours looks like, what kind of things, is there materials that you used that you enjoyed? Yeah, is there anything else that you did? So thanks for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.